Namaskaram viewers, it is my pleasure to tell you that I have Abhijit Iyer-Mitra with me for company today. Abhijit, welcome to PGurus channel.
Namaskaram, thank you for having me on as usual.
So viewers, Abhijit just completed reading a book and he wants to talk about this book. Abhijit, what have you been reading lately?
So actually, I've been reading your book, and initially I was like, let's start reading this. Is it going to be fun? Is it not? So within the first 10 pages, I got quite absorbed in it, and then it was like kind of one of those non-put downable things. So I was quite sick and under medication, but I still had to even though my head was hurting, I had to just keep reading it because it was so much fun. So I highly recommend this book, and I recommend you all get this and read this. I've just started the sequel, Who Painted My Money Red? Who Painted My Lust Red? And that's also great fun, but I haven't finished reading that yet. I've only finished reading this.
So Abhijit, tell me in your words, what did you find different about this book of fiction? I mean, there are lots of fiction books in India. If you think about Chetan Bhagat, for example, he has like a schedule every 6 months. There's a new book out.
So Chetan Bhagat's books are, well, Bollywood movies. This one, think of it as a very accurate documentary or a commentary. This is more like, say, White Tiger by Arvind Adiga, just more, much more realistic than Chetan Bhagat. Obviously, it's a work of fiction, and we have to emphasize it's a work of fiction. But it's one of those bizarre things where fiction isn't very different from reality.
You just sounded like Karan Thapar there.
Please don't insult me. I'm much better looking than Karan Thapar. I don't have a fake accent, and I certainly don't wear a fiddly little bow tie. Thank you.
That is sort of like a style statement or a fashion statement, I guess. Remember, there was a senator from Chicago, Illinois called Simon, and he used to wear this bow tie like everybody else in the Congress and in Senate used to be wearing ties, and he used to still show up in bow ties. So maybe that's his statement. Anyway,
It's a very old so-called statement. There's nothing new about it.
So we are going to talk about my book. So I guess I'm waiting for you to ask me questions rather than me asking you what kind of questions you want to ask me.
So let's just deal with the reality, right? So, well, it is a work of fiction. We need to emphasize this over and over again. But for me, the main thing here was how close it comes to in terms of deal making. So the deal making that you described in the first scene in the jungles of the Amazon, for example, trust me, Sree, nobody actually goes to the jungles of the Amazon to do deals. They'll usually want to go to some place like the Italian coast or Davos. They only do high price stuff, you see. They don't go into jungles. That said, the deal making is entirely accurate, right? And for me, the most interesting thing here, I think the pivotal sort of reveal for me here was why Modi did demonetization. It's not what you think. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I think you guys need to read the book and find out why demonetization actually made sense. But you tell me, since you know financial markets a lot better than me, what was the prime motivator? That you had a great story, or the fact that you had this skill of making financial markets understandable to the financially illiterate like me?
Actually, the story kind of evolved from two data points, Abhijit. The first data point was I read in Rediff, of all places, that a tanker with fake notes, two containers of fake notes, totaling about 10,000 crores, landed in Kochi. This happened in 2010 or 2011. That was the first starting point. And then 6 years later, you have the demonetization. And then when you have the demonetization, they also changed the size of the 500 rupee and the 2000 rupee notes. To me, demonetization, I have to answer all these questions. Why do you have to change the size of the note? See, nobody really gave a satisfactory explanation for that. You would do that only if you knew that there was an imminent flooding of fake notes, or you suddenly realize that you are unable to catch fake notes.
Right.
Right? So now you have to move back 6 months prior to the date of demonetization. The order was issued because you have to run the presses and all that stuff, right, for the 500 and 2000 rupee notes. Yet even the finance minister was not kept in the loop. The RBI governor knew, and a handpicked set of people working in the prime minister's house were the ones who did the whole thing, planning out the whole stuff, sourcing it, making it look normal. Because if you see, you had this other problem. You have an existing flow of 500 and 1000 notes. Now you have to bring in more paper to do the 2000. Lots of things went in there. I mean, I'm not saying all the stuff, but somehow they managed all that without incurring the suspicion of anybody else. For instance, India knew that Pakistan was printing Indian currency because they looked at how much paper they were buying and how much they really needed based on the printing notes that they were doing. And there was a huge difference, I think 1 or 2x more. Why would somebody want to buy so much more paper? So that is, these are the two main points around which the story is woven. However, you may know this more than I do. Do you know of these famous twins in Karachi who are into money laundering and fake currency printing?
No, but I do know that apparently the paper supplier for our notes is apparently also the paper supplier for Pakistani notes.
In PGurus, we have written many times about the fact that India ended up sourcing our currency paper from the same company that was selling to Pakistan, which is a company out of England called De La Rue. And that one variable that could have been there also got taken out.
Yeah, and De La Rue apparently has quite a shady history. We still don't know its ownership entirely, apparently. Did you know that? There are rumors of Pakistani ownership or some kind of this thing like that.
See, when things went global, people have gone berserk. That's the only word I can use. And it's entirely possible that there is Pakistani ownership with them and who knows what else. So long story short, I was just trying to connect these 2 points, and then I looked at the real politics that was playing through, and then I tried to fictionalize that part too, so that there is a thread running there about how things play, who's doing what, and so on and so forth. I'm glad you liked it, though.
So one of the most interesting things I found, and this is a really important point, is how it weaves fiscal policy into corruption, which then translates into politics. Because in this country, we see politics as merely, corruption as merely funding politics in that sense. But it's so much more. It's how financial institutions and the entire international financial black market in that sense determines policy completely.
Totally. You are totally at the mercy of that. In fact, one of my biggest disappointments with the current government is the fact that they have not taken this current emergency and taken advantage of that one. See, every country now is redefining how they are going to measure their currency, how much money they are going to print. Nobody is looking and asking, but you are overprinting or you are not printing enough. India is not printing at all. India is not, looking at, India needs to sort of prime the pump of the demand side, and they are not doing that. And they somehow think that supply side priming is enough. In fact, supply side priming is a wrong thing to do. And somehow people are totally blinded themselves to this and going down this path, which is very, very unfortunate. You don't know economics, stay out of it. It's my advice. Anyway, so this is one of those things
I
where,
don't think
go ahead.
I don't think our current government knows much of anything other than, worshipping the IAS and all its stupidities. But anyway, sorry to interrupt you. Continue.
Yeah, so what I'm trying to say is that today you have to look at so many things in so many different ways, things are coming at you. For instance, the US never bothers about what is happening about its currency. $100 bill is the maximum you can get. There is no $500 bill, no $1,000 bill. And they have only two major bills, actually three major bills, I should say: 100, 20, and 1. That's it.
Yeah.
The rest are, there are tens, there are fives. You rarely come across those. So they have a razor like focus on making sure the 100 doesn't get counterfeited. Then you have only one target, right? You have only one target: 100. Make sure that 100 doesn't get counterfeited. And that's how India should be also, in my opinion. They should be phasing out 2000 completely over time. Don't even say that there is a demonetization step. Phase it out. Phase out the 1000. Phase out the 500 also. Keep 200. That will make it extremely difficult for people to pay during election, buying your vote using election. Because for 5,000 rupees, you need a lot of notes.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, honestly, with the caliber of this government, do you think they'll ever think these things through? I mean, even demonetization technically is a wrong description. It was remonetization, not demonetization.
Right. Unfortunately, a fair amount of money also got slipped through the cracks. People who happened to have that money and couldn't come into India to, exchange it for new notes, all those people just threw it away. They couldn't do anything with it.
Well, such is life. So,
Right.
just to our readers again, you definitely want to read this, especially if you're as financially illiterate as I am. It's just a great fun read. So please do read it. Good fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhijit. And you can buy the book in Amazon, amazon.in, and just type Who Painted My Money White, and you will get all the options. You can get it as a Kindle for Kindle or ebook, and you can also get a paperback. Thank you once again, Abhijit, and thanks for putting in a kind word. Namaskar.